Hey y'all, Austin and Jonathan here.
What's up?
The next weekly whiteboard. What are we talking about today, Jonathan?
We're talking about taxes. Womp womp womp. Not the funnest thing to talk about, but some really interesting, really great news to know is that a new Texas state tax law went into effect that is very much pro home ownership, helps with affordability, and it's a cap on the tax rate. And so that started January 2020. It was voted in by our government in Texas back in October 2019. So Austin, I want to break that down today.
Yeah. So if you're curious about the difference between the homestead exemption and that protection and then what this new state law does for us, that's exactly what this video is about. So watch it. But first, before we jump in, we have a video out there about homestead exemptions and the protection that it gives you in how it's protecting you against a tax value increase. So if you had an $800,000 home on the tax value records and your tax rate was 2.42%, your tax bill would be $13,500. So we've talked about protection here, but we haven't talked about the protection here, which is exactly what Senate Bill 2 does for us, that just went into effect for us here in Texas. So Jonathan, walk us through how we come up with this, in this situation, this 2.42% tax rate.
Yeah, so this is how we know with 2.42. Every house has these different taxing entities that make up the tax rate. And so usually the big one, and most of them, is the school districts, whatever county you're in. In Harris, we have Houston Independent School District, and then we have Harris County, which is our sheriff's department and things like that. And then we have the Harris County Flood District, the Port of Houston, Harris Hospital, Harris County Education Department, Teachers Pension Funds, things like that. We have Houston Community College, and we have the City of Houston, roads and the mayor's office. All our public officials get paid out of that. So all these taxing entities add up to make 2.42. So like Austin says, we found a way to cap the 800,000, but what are we doing here to ensure this 2.42 doesn't skyrocket?
So back in the 1800s, when we rode horses up to the state capitol, the cap that they put into place, I think it was 1879, was 8%. So they said, hey, taxing entities, you cannot increase your tax rate more than 8% year over year. Now, that is 3.5%. They more than cut that in half. Huge savings for us. And so when we're talking about the tax rate increase and the cap on that rollback, that's the technical term for it, is the rollback tax. For example, take the Port of Houston. The Port of Houston's tax rate cannot exceed more than 3.5% of its current rate. So it's not saying it can't go above 3.5% total. Definitely can't do that. It's saying it can't even go above 3.5% more, Jonathan, on that value right there. So that would put us at from 0.01074 to 0.01111. So that's huge. I mean, that is a lot of protection for us. And if you carry that all the way down, let's say worst case scenario, everyone maxed it out to that 3.5%. The most that this property's tax rate could go up to, it would go from 2.42 up to 2.50%. So that is really significant because it's making sure that this guy isn't going to go up too much on you.
Exactly. So like Austin said, that's if everyone went up by 3.5%. The worst it can move up is 2.5. And the thing to remember, this 3.5% cap, it can go above that, but it requires voter approval. So the taxing entities can go up 3.5% without voter approval. So we've seen that our government's putting great thing like Homestead in place to protect the tax value. Now we see the Texas government putting a great way to cap the tax rate. And so when we keep both of those capped, it keeps that tax bill lower. And the great thing about keeping that tax bill lower is it increases the affordability of home ownership in the state of Texas.
Amen.
So very pro economy, very pro real estate. So that's something that's great that we have this year, and it just started in January 2020.
Yep. And one other thing to mention is there are some caveats, just like any good law that's out there, any good legislation that's put forward. There's going to be compromise, there's going to be exceptions. So depending on where you are in the state and what entities you're subject to, there might be some wiggle room, but this is the general gist of Senate Bill 2, the 3.5% protection. That's how it works. Hopefully that adds some clarity. and get out there and buy some homes.
That's right. See you next time, guys.
Woo! Adios.